This is a tutorial on how to use IXL. This is not an extensive tutorial, but just kind of a general idea of how to move your way around IXL. So once you have logged into your specific account, every teacher should have their own login. I believe your students should already be in your classes. If not, please disregard this comment, but I believe I'll be able to put all of the students into your classes. So this is the general area of IXL, the main page. You have several tabs up front. You have My IXL. This is the dashboard. Your roster that are the students that are in your class. Live classroom. This is where you can watch your students complete the assignments that you have assigned them, or you can watch your specific class live and see if students are doing well and see if students are not doing well. Group Jam is also another way that you can use a specific assignment. All students are on the exact same question at the exact same time. They cannot move forward, and you can see which students answer the question correctly and which students did not answer the questions correctly. Leaderboards, these are things that if you want to create tournaments for students. Quizzes are like a homework assignment. You can treat it as a quiz if you want, or you can treat it as a homework assignment. You can actually choose the specific questions and then assign it for the students. Last but not least, there are several different things that you can use and resources that you can go through. So let's go through a little bit here. Our dashboard. I created a fake student. The student is Donald Duck, and I did some assignments for them. Okay, so right now, this specific student, this is just a synopsis of everything that happened so far. So far, there have been 7 skills practiced. 1 skill is proficient, and then skills that are mastered. And I'll explain what all of those mean. How much time that specific student has spent on IXL, or sorry, your class has spent on IXL, and some other information in your IXL, okay? So let's go to our roster. Roster, it tells you who's in your class. So right now, my class that I have created is 8th grade math. My student's name is Donald Duck. They're in grade 8, and then they have access to math, English, science, social studies, and then you have their username and password. So all teachers have access to your students' username and password. Okay, good. You can also print your student usernames. You can print a list of your student usernames and passwords. You can also email your students their usernames and passwords. You can also create sign-in cards and print those out. You can also print and email a letter to your parents. You can also create classes, which I would recommend you create. You create your math class, your science class, your history class, and then your English class, keeping track of every single one of these things. So again, you have access to your username and passwords, and you have access to your classes as well. So that was my IXL. Live classroom, there's nothing to do right now. Or actually, you can actually see. So on a different web page, I have Donald Duck. Let's go to a specific skill. So right now, I am on the student version. How many dots are in the front? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, let's see if it populates for me. So here we go. You can see that Donald Duck answered 1 question, and it tells you which question Donald Duck just answered, and it shows you what question Donald Duck is going to complete next. Okay, now what if Donald Duck gets that specific this next question wrong? So let's see. Donald Duck got it wrong. Let's see what happens on the teacher side. So here we go. It shows you that Donald Duck got this question wrong, and what they chose. It is your responsibility to make sure you are watching the students. This is not your free time. This is not your time to check your email. This is not your time to do other things. You should be watching your students complete their assignments live so you can check for understanding. Okay? Where are we at? All right. Live classroom. Group jam. What is a group jam? If you would like to create a specific assignment, so for example, we'll go to another math lesson. We'll just do this one. So here's the specific assignment. Here in the bottom right, you would hit Start Group Jam. and you're going to choose the specific students. You can choose the class or you can choose specific students. So I want Donald Duck to join this group jam. That means he's going to be working together with me. So I'm going to start the group jam. Okay. Now notice here are all the students. It says waiting to join. Notice it says Donald Duck waiting to join Donald Duck. I'm going to go over to Donald Duck's webpage and notice what happens here. It says your teacher has started a group jam. Your teacher's waiting for you to group jam. And once you join the group jam, the student is now in the group jam. Go back here. Here it says Donald Duck is still working on this question, hasn't answered yet. So let's say count by tens. We'll get it wrong. So it tells them that they got it wrong, and then they have to wait. They cannot go to the next question. They cannot go to the next question without your permission. So here we go. It says Donald Duck got the question wrong. Then you can move to review, go over the questions with the entire class, making sure that they fully understand the questions. Then you move on. You can either make the question harder or you can make the question easier. The question now populates for the student here as well. There we go. We left the group jam. We're going to end the jam. Make sure you end the jam, otherwise it stays live for the students. Okay. At the end of the group jam, it tells you what the students' scores were, how many questions they answered, and what questions they worked on. Okay. So that's live classroom, group jam, leaderboards. So leaderboards, you're basically kind of creating like a tournament. You can select the specific dates. You can select what skills to work on, kind of questions to do, and basically you can create a reward for this top 3 students for your leaderboards. Quizzes. This is where a teacher has created a quiz for a specific student. So we can create a quiz. We're going to call this one-step equations. Here we go. We're going to select math. We're going to select grade. Let's go 8th grade. And here we go. Something like this. All right. So I can add how many of these kinds of questions. We'll add the questions, level 3. Then we can also add some more questions from something else. So once you found that you found the actual questions that you would like to save and everything, you're done, you hit review and publish. And now your quiz is ready for the student. On the student side, what does that look like? Here we go. So this is the student side. Student's going to go to quizzes section, and then they're going to have a quiz ready for you. So immediately, here we go. You have to choose your specific student. All right, so this quiz has been updated. Let's refresh Donald Duck's page. So here we go, one-step equations. Donald Duck can now answer the specific homework assignment. Go through all the questions. We're just going to get them all wrong so you can see what it looks like. Submit the quiz, view report. You got 0 out of 4. Okay. It also tells you the time, which is important. You can tell if students actually tried or if they did not try. Okay. So now we can go in our quizzes section. You can see the report for your homework assignments. You can see, all right. So Donald Duck, he got 0 out of 4. You got to score, how long he spent on the quiz, and the date he completed the assignment. Okay. That's your quizzes section. Here are your resources for IXL. Now, after we've gone through the main page of your IXL, there's a few other things. The learning section has your respective class. So if you're teaching math, science, religion, and ELA, you'll have access to all of these. If not, you'll have only access to your specific account, okay? Now in math, or in a few of these, they're starting to add more and more services. So for in math, you have something called skills. Skills are basically things that students should know, and they are divided by grade level. So if you go to kindergarten, these are different skills that kindergarten has. Now in a school year, they are not going to complete the entire thing, but I would probably say 70-80% of this will be done. All right, so let's go back here, go to learning. There are also lessons that students can go over. So for example, if you're trying to go over a specific topic, you have integers, you have decimals, you have different topics that correspond to certain topics in your curriculum. Okay. They have ways to teach the lesson, so you can put this online. There are things you can share with the students. So you can also print this lesson out for the students so that they also have access to this as well. The resources are unbelievable if you use it correctly. Okay, so let's go back to learning. You also have videos. Students can also watch certain videos. You can share certain videos. For example, if you have integers and you want students to watch the video, you can share the video with the students. Share the video with your Google Classroom. It is already there for you to share. You can share it to your specific Google Classroom and make them watch the video. Games. You also have games. I'd recommend giving students a break every once in a while. The games only go up to 5th grade level, but I find that even the older students as well don't mind playing some of these games. Okay. Now, games do not work currently on iPads. If anything changes, I will let you know, but currently on iPads, they do not work. Okay. Science, social studies, we do not have Spanish currently for IXL, but science and social studies do not have videos and games. Recommendations wall. What is a recommendations wall? So these are the recommendations that the system recommends for currently Donald Duck, because he's our only student. So these are things that Donald Duck will see on his or her page, and then they can do some of these recommended skills. If students are on an iPad, to see the recommended skills, they do need to log in through an actual web browser. That means they have to go to Google Chrome, they have to put in their username, and they have to put in their password, which is important for teachers to teach their students how to log in to IXL and make sure they know how to use the system. IXL plans. IXL plans are basically curriculums that go along with popular curriculums that currently exist. So for example, in middle school, they are using Big Ideas Math. I know for the lower grades, you guys are using Everyday Math. Let's see if they have it. There we go. So Everyday Math, it corresponds with your classroom. So if you are a first grade teacher, it's going to tell you every single homework assignment that corresponds with IXL. So when you are in the first assignment, this homework assignment goes with 1-1. Then this assignment goes with 1-2. I would say 99% of them have an assignment. There are some that do not, but if you do find one of those, it will be very rare. Those are called skill plans. State standards, these are also great for before iReady exams and tests, going over certain things for students to know. You can recommend skills from here. So for winter break, if you're looking for work for students to work, they do have winter break. So right now, because we're in summer, they'll post some summer ones, but there are hundreds of them that you can choose from. Okay. Textbooks, these are again the curriculum books that they have. So Everyday Math, Big Ideas Math, and so forth. Test prep. These are also very, very awesome, specifically for the 8th graders and 7th graders that need to take their tests to test into schools. These would be fantastic for them to be working on certain things. For the lower grades, My World Interactive, this actually corresponds with your grade, with your textbook. So 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade. Assessment. I'd recommend at least once a month at the beginning of the school year, right after winter break, and then right at the end of the school year, that the students complete a full real diagnostic, and then once a month that the students continue to work on this. What happens in a diagnostic is it is going to ask students questions. So I'll give you an example of a student version. So the student is going to go to assessment. They're going to hit step into the arena. And then they have two choices. If you want to focus on math, right here in the top right section, there's a focus on just math. If you want to focus just on ELA, focus on ELA. If you want to do both, you can answer both. I would suggest you focus on one at a time. So if a student is going through some questions, let's say they're answering this, we'll just say we'll get it wrong. So it's going to tell them that they did not get that question correctly. And if there's a question that they don't know, there's this button right here that says, I don't know this yet. The more they work through these diagnostics, the better their score will, the more the computer will realize where these students are currently at mathematically. Okay, so if you notice, it's starting to get lower and lower and lower, and all of a sudden it put me at 0 level. So the way these grade levels work is 0 to 100 is kindergarten, 100 to 200 is first grade, 200 to 300 is second grade, 300 to 400 is third grade, 400 to 500 is fifth grade, and so forth. So you want to make sure the student knows where they are at. So notice, the student is between a 0 and a 90. That means this student is scoring at a kindergarten level. Now, if there is a range of numbers between 0 and 90, that means the computer does not have enough information on that skill yet to find out where that student is. When there is a specific number and a star, there has to be a star. It's like a circle with a star in it. That means the computer has found out where that student is. Okay? That is in the assessment section. Let's go back to the teacher version. So again, let's refresh our page, and then it should tell us where Donald Duck is. So there we go. It tells us where Donald Duck is, the more information, and eventually it will give them recommendation skills. Be like, okay, Donald Duck, we want to get you to the right level, so you're going to have to do or complete these specific skills. You can also print diagnostic scores for the students. I recommend doing that right before parent-teacher conferences to have some information for the parents to see. Now, here is where most of the information that you are going to use for IXL is. It's in your analytics. All right, so in analytics, we have several things. You go through specific students. You can look at your test diagnostic scores. You can find out where students are struggling, skills that the students have practiced, the scores that the students received on those practice, scores that they received on those IXLs that they practiced, all of the questions that the students are answering, the scores for the quizzes you have created, and then the progress growth of where you want to see where the student started and where the student is going to end. Okay, so here we go. Let's start off with Students Quick View. This is going to give you a list of students and information. So we're looking just at Donald Duck. It's going to tell you what the student has worked on, the times, how many questions they answered, what they got right, and what they got wrong. Okay. Student usage. It's going to tell you how much the student or how long the student has been online. You should probably see an average. So if one student has 20 hours and then one student has 1 hour, you know that that one student is just not doing their work. So again, that also represents keeping track of the student and making sure students are active on IXL. Now we have student summary. Student summaries are great. These are good things that you can print out for parents to find out what the students have been working on, what they can work on, and what is going to help them. Diagnostic scores or diagnostic analytics. This is information on the students, so we don't have enough information on Donald Duck just yet, but when Donald Duck is done, it will give you a report. So notice it's creating a report for Donald Duck, and it's going to recommend certain skills. Trouble spots. Let's see, did it finish the report yet? No, it didn't. So trouble spots. Let's see, we're looking for Donald Duck. So we don't have enough information yet on Donald Duck to figure out what the student is struggling on. But if you can figure that, if once it populates this, you can start assigning these specific assignments to the student. Skills. So again, we're looking for a specific student. Let's go math because we did math. Skill plans. Okay, we'll go back because we didn't assign any of these. But what this is telling you is the skills that where students have completed, how much they have completed, or how many of these assignments they have completed, and it's giving you recommended information and data on these assignments. You can dive deeper into, okay, I want to look only for math. I want to look for just between pre-K and first grade, and see what assignments were completed then, or what's in the last 7 days, last 30 days, how many homework assignments that those students have completed. Skill analysis. This is going to give you the amount of work that the students are completing. So right now we're looking at math, but we can go at all subjects as well. Do all students. So we're looking at this specific skill. It says A1. Go to math, grades, first grade, counting. Let's see, we know that this one was completed. Okay, so it's telling me that the student finished the entire assignment, received their score on the assignment. Checkpoints, trying to figure out where students are. So these are great. These is basically standards. So you can find out where your students are according to standards, if they are close to finishing that specific standard, if they're moving on to the next level. The one thing I use the most is right here. It's going to be in the scores section, because this is how I give grades to students. So we're looking for my students, and we're looking for assignments that they completed. So we're going to go to math. All right. So you notice that Donald Duck completed this specific assignment, and he got a 91. Now, how are grades reported on IXL? So if they go to their assignment, here we go. So the student received a 91. What does that score represent? So anything over a 75 is considered proficient, knowing the material. Between 75 and 80 is kind of, so I guess it's basically like this. 70, if they hit a 75, that's tier 3. 75 and 90 is tier 2, and anything over 90 is a tier 1. I suggest that all teachers ask their students to get over a 90. Some students love to get to 100. 100 is considered mastering the subject, but a good score, or I guess an A plus, would be a 90. Anything in the 80s would be like a B minus. Anything in the 70s would be like a C minus, if you want to put it in that perspective. Okay. So how would I grade this? So this student got a 91. That means I would give them 9 out of 9. Now, if that student got an 81, I'd give them 8 out of 9. Doesn't mean that they answered 9 questions. That just means that was their score. They received a 9 out of 9, which would be 100% A plus. An 8 out of 9 would be a B minus, roughly, and that would be their score. So now check out this other assignment. This person got a 12. How would I score this? This would be a 1 out of 9. So basically, all assignments are out of 9 points. One IXL is worth 9 points. It may not seem like it is a lot, but eventually they will start adding up for homework assignments. Okay? You have score charts for specific students. So if you want to look at everything they have completed, it will give you a synopsis of every single assignment. So right now, this is everything in that first grade class, and it will give you a score on every single assignment. So if you're a first grade teacher, you would come to scores, score chart, you choose math, you choose your grade level, and then it will tell you how many of those assignments that they completed, and you'll be able to give them scores based off of that. You have skill score chart. So you're looking at a specific skill, and it's going to tell you that specific skill, and it's going to give you detailed information. So they got a SMART score of 91, the number of questions they answered, the amount of time they spent, and then when they practiced last. So if parents are asking for information, you can come to this general area. Questions? There's not enough information yet to fully select everything in here, but this would probably be a specific spot where you can find individual data on students for specific questions. Quizzes, these are quizzes that you have created or things that students have completed. So let's see, we chose that one-step equation at the beginning of the class. One student completed it, the average score on that quiz. This is a lot of good data that you can have to figure out if students are with you in the specific subject or a specific material. Okay. Last but not least, progress, making sure that knowing where Donald Duck is going, how many specific skills they completed, what they are proficient at and mastered at. We want to make sure we have a lot more of these, fewer of these, and a lot of skills practiced. Okay. The diagnostic group will complete here when when the students have completed their diagnostic assessments. I know this was a lot of information, but this is a general, this is a general synopsis on IXL. There's so much more that you can do with IXL. I hope everybody uses it to the best of their ability, and hope you have a wonderful school year.